Well, it turns out dark chocolate. Who doesn't like dark chocolate? Dark chocolate.
Thank goodness.
Right. That's the response I get from most people. Now, look, chocolate's a confection, so it's a candy. So I want to be really careful to make this distinction. Dark chocolate is better because it has more cacao. Cacao is a plant-based food. Comes from a cacao pod, which comes off a tree, and it is very much packed with dietary fiber, which is good for our gut microbiome, good for overall health. But it has polyphenols called proanthocyanidins. Okay, so for your listeners and viewers, don't worry if you can't pronounce or spell these things. Like, let people like me who study food as medicine do the heavy lifting for you. But just know that dark chocolate, plant-based, has more of the plant-based cacao, has these bioactives. Now, what does proanthocyanins do? These dark chocolate polyphenols, cocoa polyphenols, they call out stem cells. In fact, there was a study done out of San Francisco and the University of Texas that showed that in 60-year-old men with coronary heart disease, bad blood vessels, bad hearts, that if they drank 2 cups of dark, hot cocoa that is really enriched with polyphenols, they could double the number of stem cells in their bloodstream that can repair their circulation and improve their heart function after 30 days. So if you just drank 2 cups a day for a month, that's how this experiment was done. And then they measured the number of stem cells in the blood. That's a blood test. Bada bing, twice. All right. Then they measured functionally how resilient their circulation was. That's using a test called FMD, flow mediated dilation. How resilient are your circulation? That also doubled. That's how powerful your stem cells can actually be. And there's a whole other list of foods as well. Dried fruit, because the skin of fruits contain ursolic acid. Ursolic acid, which is found in the skin of fruits. Dried fruits, you get a lot more skin per unit that you put in your mouth, right? So it would be hard for you if you and I sat across the table from each other and we challenge each other to eat 6 apricots, all right? We could probably do it, but it wouldn't be a lot of fun. But if we had 6 dried apricots, you and I could just have this conversation right now, this podcast, and just knock them down, right? But you get all that skin. The ursolic acid is in that skin. That's another example. And by the way, if you ever try this is why it's better if you're going to get for the skin of the fruit, to get organic fruits, because the skin tends to accumulate the pesticides. It's very hard to wash them off.
Wow, that's super interesting. And I'd love to know, what's your thoughts on dried fruit versus fresh fruit because of the sugar content?
Okay.
Because if we're talking about fat and metabolism, that's just one thing that comes to my mind when you mention dried fruits.
Yeah, great question. So like anything that is complicated, there's no black and white answer. So is sugar bad? No, your brain needs sugar normally. Your body will make sugar normally if you don't get enough of it from your diet. And fruits and vegetables, even ones that are not very sweet, have sugar in it. Sure, a summer peach has a lot of sugar. Watermelon has a lot of sugar. But, broccoli also has a fair amount of sugar, natural sugars in it as well. Those are all super good for you, not because of the sugar, but because those calories that you're getting are high value calories, right? You have all these other polyphenols and dietary fiber, all the bioactives from the fruit that counterbalance the potential detriment of whatever sugar it is. So I always say, when it comes to produce, fruits and vegetables, if you're eating normal, healthy amounts that are good for your taste buds, a healthy part of a balanced meal, don't worry about the sugar in them. If you have normal blood sugar control, like if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, maybe that's something to be more careful about. You want to talk to a nutritionist or dietitian about. But I think for most people, it's fine. Now, what about added sugar? Well, just like, fat, too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing. Added sugar, which is what we started this conversation about. Well, what about soda? A lot of added sugar in a typical can of soda, like 9 teaspoons full of refined sugar. If I gave you an empty cup, Sarah Ann, and put 9 teaspoons of granulated sugar and said, drink that down, you would be horrified, right? Like I would be.
I would be as a nutritionist, I'd be horrified.
Right.
And my teeth would be as well.
Exactly. But it turns out that, added sugar is detrimental for your health, but natural sugars in the quantities that you would eat normally in fruits and vegetables are just fine. I think sugar gets vilified, just like the way the fat's gotten vilified. And I think this is where the conversation needs to go. And I'm so glad that you brought this up, Sarah Ann, which is that, look, we should stop taking black and white views. Sugar will cause cancer. Actually, you know what? The something more likely to cause cancer is not sugar, but breathing in the off-gassing for your new carpet or from your at the gas station pump. So these are things that we don't have the same conversation about. Let's try not to vilify our food. Let's try to respect what it is that Mother Nature delivers to us, and let's just make better choices. So fruits and vegetables, sugar is fine. You asked about dried fruit. Look, it is true that you could eat you and I could eat 6 dried apricots pretty quickly, but we would probably not eat 6 whole apricots quite as quickly. We'd be reluctant to eat it. So we would actually be eating more of the sugar in there. And that's why everything in moderation. I would say that eating 6 dried apricots at a sitting is probably in excess. But, having 2 or 3 of them, probably fine if they're part of your fiber-gaining, polyphenol, regenerative kind of snacking pattern. Much better than a bag of chips, crisps that you might actually want to eat, right? So, again, let's try to be a little bit more refined in the choices that we make. We do it all the time, by the way. These difficult choices, what's better for us, what's safer for us, we do that. If you're listening to this and you go skiing in the winter, we all wear the same ski outfits and we have the same skis, but you're going to make a decision of which track you're going to go down that mountain. You're going to go the green, the blue, or the black diamond, And so I think that everyone can make better choices as a way of confronting food.